Okay, so this video is way long overdue. I can't really even believe that I am, doing this video. Not because, it's out of my comfort zone or anything like that. It's just, I never really knew that this was an option. Hi, I'm Lindsay, and this is the Fit Cycle. If you're new to my channel, my name is Lindsay Holsey, and I am the creator of the fitness app, The Fit Cycle. And this last year, I have been opening up about our trying to conceive journey, which up to this point has actually been very short, which I'll go into in this video. But this video specifically, I am going to be sharing about our miscarriage. And first, I just want to say that if you're watching this because you have had a miscarriage, you've experienced loss, or you've had a similar experience to the type of miscarriage that I had, anything, if you're going through an infertility journey, my heart goes out to you and I am praying for you every single day. I hate the fact that we have all been we've all been initiated into this club of women who have miscarried. One in every, or it's like 25% of women will miscarry, or 25% of pregnancies end in miscarriage. We were added to this club away from our will. So my heart goes out to you, and I'm here for you, and just know that you're not alone. Don't be ashamed. It's nothing that you did. And it's just, our body's naturally taking care of us. So as hard as it is for us to kind of comprehend that, but so a little bit of a backstory. This is probably going to be a pretty long video just because I haven't done any other videos about our pregnancy. I had filmed tons of content while I was pregnant, thinking that I was going to share a happy pregnancy story. So I'll share some bits and pieces in this video too. But so today it is May 5th, Cinco de Mayo of 2021, and I miscarried back in February. I found out the end of February, and then the beginning of March, I had my D&C procedure to, clean everything out, clean all the tissue out and everything. So now going back into a backstory, I'm 33, about to be 33 this month. And this was probably the year that we were like, okay, this is going to be the year that we start trying, but we hadn't necessarily committed to it until December 31st. Jordan and I had always been very careful. We weren't ready to have kids. We weren't trying to have kids. And then, we had a lot of fun December 31st. And then we woke up the next day and we were like, okay, I guess this means that we're trying to have kids, or we're going to start trying. So I had actually, so that was December 31st, and then I ovulated January 2nd, and we also had sex January 2nd. So I was just kind of I watched all the videos, and I kind of knew okay, if everything's supposed to be working how it's working, I'm healthy, Jordan's healthy, then I should get pregnant. And so I actually found out that I was pregnant, I think it was 8 days post ovulation, so 8 DPO. And I knew all the lingo just because I have several friends that are going through infertility journeys or have had miscarriages. And so just in talking with them, and I still could not believe it. I was like, this is the first time that we tried. And at the time I was like, gosh, I can't believe that it happened the first time, the first time that we actually tried, the first month that we actually tried. And so I took so many pregnancy tests. I'll even show you, I was so interested in seeing the line progression, because it was if your line is progressing, then you're having a healthy pregnancy and everything's moving in the right direction. this is actually something that I wanted to show you guys. I did the whole line progression test, and I feel like everyone's like, okay, probably like, throw this away. Like, why are you keeping these sticks? It's probably like so unsanitary, but so one thing that I did is I tracked the line progression, because your HCG, which is the hormone that actually tests if you're pregnant, that's what the pregnancy tests detect, it should double every 48 hours. And so I was like taking all the tests to make sure that it was progressing. So you can see here, this was my first positive, and then you can see how it's getting darker, and then it's just like so dark, that last one. So January 10th was when we started that. And then I did also take some digital pregnancy tests. So, oh yeah, here's the one that I told Jordan with. I don't know, as you can see the second line there. It just says, "Hey Dad." And I showed him that one. And then this was a digital one. So the first response, like there's 2 different tests that you can take with it. And then the 17th, which was about 7 days later, or no, here's the 14th. So I did take a clear blue one. Definitely says you're pregnant, which this was so exciting. Like, I remember after that 2-week wait and after we were doing all of this, I was like, man, I miss the excitement of finding out you're pregnant. So that'll be fun to hopefully get to do that again. So that one said pregnant. This one's super dark, 14 days post-ovulation. That's the day I missed my period. Very dark. And this one was digital and already went away. But I wanted to show you guys that. So anyways, just if you were doing a line progression and you're like, oh, it looks like I should have a healthy pregnancy, been there, done that. And it doesn't always end up that way. So I don't think this next time, I think I'll take a pregnancy test and that's it. So stay tuned if that's really what happens. But so we have an insurance where you have to get a referral to go to your OB-GYN. So I needed to secure a spot with my primary care doctor. So as soon as I found out I was pregnant and learned that I needed to get a referral, I called a primary care physician that I was interested in being a patient of, went and saw them, told them that I was pregnant. We did some lab work, and she had talked to the chiropractor that was also caring for me, and mentioned that she thought that I was a lot far along than I thought I was because my numbers were so high. And I had also, like, the day that we found out I was pregnant, or no, the day after we decided, okay, we're gonna start having kids, Jordan was making breakfast and we got 3 eggs in a row with double yolks, and so many different signs along the way were like twins, twins, twins. And so then whenever my physician was like, I think you're further along than you think you are, I was like, nope, absolutely no way. I am very regular. I know exactly when I ovulate. I have never missed a period. I know when I ovulated this time. I know when Jordan and I connected. There's no way. And so at that moment, it started making me think, like, could there be twins in there? Like, this is crazy. So I called my OB-GYN and they didn't want to see me until I was 8 weeks pregnant. So at this point, I had just missed my period. So I was only 2 weeks pregnant when I went and saw my primary care physician. That's when they do the labs, and my HCG was like over 600, I think. Moving along, right along in my pregnancy, I didn't start getting very many symptoms. Like, I started getting the indigestion and constipation about week 4 of my pregnancy. And then week 5, I started getting, I think, like progesterone headaches. And actually, I think I was getting progesterone headaches like pretty early on after implantation. So some headaches and stuff like that. But my boobs didn't start getting sore until week 5. And it was like instant, like, holy smokes, to the touch. Water touching it in the shower was just like so much pain. So I was starting to get all of those symptoms, and I was like very bloated. I remember taking a picture of 5 weeks, and I texted my friends. I was like, it's either twins or I am very, very bloated. So I had done a fitness photo shoot at week 5. I felt fine. I wasn't nauseous or anything. We made a sign to share it with the community. And then week 6, like clockwork, the Monday of week 6, right after my photo shoot, I was like so sick, and it's like a hangover nausea. So if you're ever wondering, I was always like, oh, I wonder what that pregnancy nausea is gonna feel like. It's like you're hungover and you didn't have the benefits or the stories of the buzz. So I started getting really sick week 6, and then I started knowing after week 6, because I was pretty much kind of sick every single day during that 6th week. And then after that, it started coming a little bit more intermittently. Like some days would be good and some days wouldn't. And people were like, that's fine. That's totally normal. There's nothing to be worried about. So that was around like week 7. Then week 8 was the week that I was supposed to go for my very first ultrasound. And this is the week, I don't know if you guys are aware, that huge snowstorm came through Texas. And so my 8-week ultrasound appointment was canceled. But as soon as I got pregnant and as soon as I knew when the ultrasound was going to be, we had made plans that we were going to tell our family so that we could have the ultrasound to show them. And so, you know, Jordan's family lives in California, mine lives in Dallas, which is about 3 hours away from where I'm at now. And so we had plans to go to the ultrasound that day. The same day we were going to drive to my parents, tell them, and then the next day we were going to fly to California and tell Jordan's parents. Well, the snowstorm came in, the hospital was closed, or the offices were closed, but we were like, okay, we're still going to go to my parents. We'll still tell them. We'll still tell Jordan's parents. And so that's what we did. So we told my parents, we told our close family and our close friends. We told some of our close friends, like, you know, at week 5 or whatever. Not really. We had a healthy fear of, you know, there's still a lot that can happen. But, you know, I was still feeling nausea, you know, intermittently and all of this stuff. So the end of week 8 is when we actually flew to California to tell Jordan's parents. We told them it was amazing. It was so special. But I started noticing like my boobs weren't as sore and I really wasn't nauseous the whole time. I was tired. But I remember telling Jordan, like, not that I thought something was wrong, but just like, my boobs aren't sore. And I would wake up and I would like press on them. I'm like, gosh, like they're just not sore. And they were like so sore whenever, you know, I was like in the depths of my pregnancy. And so that was week 8, and my ultrasound was rescheduled for 9 weeks, the week after. And so we flew home. And I think the Monday, or no, it might have been a Tuesday, the Tuesday after we got back from California from telling all of our friends and family, we went in and had our first ultrasound. And so when we went in, I feel like I knew just because of like my nausea was going away, and I just like, I feel like my body was trying to tell me that the baby's not growing anymore. And then, but my mind just like, you know, I looked pregnant, you know, I was having the signs. And so my brain just wouldn't let me go there, but I think subconsciously I knew. So we went in there, had the ultrasound, and the ultrasound tech was kind of, you know, it's vaginal. So it's because it's still very early. And she was like, I saw the sacs, and obviously I'm not an ultrasound tech. Like, I've never seen my baby on a screen before, so I don't know what I'm looking for. So I just thought she was looking for a while. So I think like maybe a minute went by, and she was like, so I see 2 sacs. And I look at Jordan, I was like, oh my gosh. But she was like, I don't see any babies. And my heart just started to race, and I was like almost kind of going into like shock. Like, I didn't really believe it. And so she kept like looking around, and I was like, well, I have a tilted uterus. Like, you know, could that be the case? Could it be hidden? She was like, no, I would be able to find it. And so when they started to do the measurements, so basically what I had, which this is from the research that I've done, this is very rare. So if you've had this experience, please share with me, because I'm kind of doing this video because I could not find any YouTube videos on this case. And so basically I had 2 blighted ovums. So the baby had split, the cells had split into two babies, and neither one of them actually grew to produce babies. Or if they did, they grew and then they just stopped growing, and the body or the sac absorbed them. So I had two empty sacs, which I will post a picture of what it looks like, or the video of what it looks like here. And so what that means is usually when you have one blighted ovum or one empty sac, it's called a blighted ovum. So I had two empty sacs, so I had two blighted ovums. And all of the research that I had done, it's like usually when you have two sacs, it's like one will be a blighted ovum and then you'll still have a baby in one. So I was just like, what's wrong with me? Like, why couldn't I have one baby in one and just an empty sac in the other instead of two empty sacs? Like, the day before, I looked 9 weeks pregnant. It was just so, it was such a mind fuck, honestly, that it's like, I look pregnant, I feel pregnant, and I'm pregnant, but there's no baby in there. And that just that was kind of a hard concept to adjust to. So after that, we talked to the doctor, and she said that blighted ovums are very, I think 75% or even more than that of miscarriages, early miscarriages, are blighted ovums, where the baby just stops growing. So my babies basically stopped growing around 6 weeks. The sacs are measuring 6 weeks, and yeah, so we were now at 9 weeks, so they hadn't grown or progressed in 3 weeks. So at that point, we talked to my doctor. She was like, I can't definitively tell you that there is not a baby in there. So we need to do an ultrasound in 2 weeks to confirm. Because they were like, you might be further along, or you might not be as far along as you think you are. They were like, maybe you're only 6 weeks along. And I was like, well, I got a positive pregnancy test before I could possibly only be 6 weeks along. So I was like, there's absolutely no way. But I think that's kind of the formality. They can't just go in and do a D&C or, give you the medicine to have a miscarriage without confirming that there is no baby in there. So we went home, and what was going to happen is I was going to have to wait 2 weeks for the next ultrasound, and then we would just have to wait for the scheduling. So I was like, there's no reason to wait. I know when we had sex, I know when I got a positive, I know how far along I am. And I'm just like, I'm ready to let's just get this over with and move on. So I called them, and we had an ultrasound the next week, confirmed that it didn't grow. And actually what had happened is one kind of stayed the same size, and the other one was kind of getting bigger and almost deteriorating. So at that, it started deteriorating. And so I hadn't had any bleeding, nothing. No signs of a miscarriage other than my symptoms decreasing. And so went in for that ultrasound, confirmed there's no baby growing. And then we scheduled a D&C for the next week on a Tuesday. So the D&C is the dilation and curettage. And what they'll do is they'll give you two options. I think you can either take the medication or you can either do the D&C. I had read or done research that passing to blighted ovums was extremely painful, labor pains if you take the medication. So I was like, you know what? I've been through enough. Knock me out and let's just have a surgery and get it over with. And so that's what I did. And one of the things that I did is I wanted to know why this happened. Was it a chromosomal abnormality? Was it a genetic thing? And so I did request for them to do genetic testing and chromosomal testing on the tissue that they collected at the D&C. And still up to this point, I had just the morning of the D&C, because I think finally my body was like, this is it. This is the end of this road. For now. And so at that morning was the first sign I had any spotting, and it was just that brown, pre-period kind of, very, very light. And so had the D&C. That was it was really very easy, honestly. They took you in, knocked you out with anesthesia, and then, you know, I woke up less than an hour later, and just with like minor cramping, and they'll give you some pain medication to get you through, which I didn't use much of the pain medication, but I will say, and I did have some women reach out to me that was like, you know, I know that you might feel like you're recovered in 3 days, but you know, I bled really, really heavily a week later. So same thing happened to me. I had the D&C on a Tuesday, D&C on a Tuesday, and then I just was like, you know, I had panty liners that I was like switching out until like Friday, and I was like, oh, it's, you know, it's light bleeding. Well, Saturday night, I was having like such bad cramping. Like, I've never had this bad of cramping in my life. Like, I hadn't taken any of the pain pills. Like, they'll give you like a Norco or some hydrocodone and stuff for like extreme pain, and I was like, oh, I don't need that. This day, I was like, holy crap. So I took the pain medication, and it like just took the edge off just barely. And so my prescription was for, you know, I could take 2 pills. So I just took one, and I was like, because I think I would like those pills too much if I took too many. So I was super careful. But I took one, and it just like took the edge off. So I was like, oh my gosh, I need another one. And so I went and took another one. I went to the bathroom, and it was like so much came out of my uterus, so much blood and clots and everything. I'm sorry if that's too graphic. But I just want to let you guys know that plan on a week later, or like 5 days to 7 days later, that it's like you're going to release all of the tissue and everything that was still in there, and the clots and things from the surgery. It was so much that I even messaged my doctor on Monday, and I was like, this happened this weekend, should I be concerned? And they said no. So anyways, so that's really like the D&C. And then, so let me give you guys some dates for reference, because there is some things that kind of happened post D&C that have made it harder to track when to have sex to have a baby. So I had the D&C March 7th, and then March 7th, and then just had like that post-op bleeding and stuff like that. Then the bleeding went away at the end of March, and then April 2nd, well, so we had sex the day I ovulated, but I wasn't really like expecting anything, you know, to happen. And then I started spotting like April 2nd, and I was like, it was too early to be a period. And so I was like, is this implantation bleeding? It was like kind of black, but it lasted like 6 days. So just like spotting. And so I didn't really think much of it. And then 2 weeks later, which that's 3 weeks after I ovulated, so I'm kind of thinking it was implantation bleeding, but can't confirm it. So I don't know if it was another miscarriage. But I had like the heaviest period I've ever had in my life, like soaking through Super Plus tampons, like insane. But I heard that was normal too, that like your first period after a D&C is going to be like insane. So it was like a full 7 days, very, very heavy bleeding. And then I think a week later, I also spotted. So that was like maybe April 7th or so. And then, or no, that was, I don't know, mid-April. And then ever since then, up to May 5th today, I haven't spotted. So with that being said, we are starting to try. I consider that heavy bleeding my first real period, my first cycle after my D&C. And so what I started doing is I started tracking per the Clear Blue ovulation kit, and it was pretty spot on. All of my apps told me when I was going to be in my fertility window, and then my little ovulation stick, it went from not fertile to high chance of getting pregnant to peak chance of getting pregnant, like really quickly. So we had sex all those days. TMI, I don't know. But now I'm kind of in the waiting period. So it's Wednesday. I ovulated last Thursday. So I'll keep you guys updated. But I would be lying if I said that I wasn't concerned or worried about the future and if we're going to be able to get pregnant again and how long that's going to take and everything. But I'll definitely document it. It's just hard because There's some women who got pregnant and they had healthy babies and then they had a miscarriage and now they're struggling to get pregnant. Or, you know, some women had the D&C and got pregnant super fast after. And it's just hard to know, but I am praying about it every day. I know that it's all in God's timing, as cliche as that is, but yeah, so that's our story. And I hope that it helps you guys in some way. If you have a double blighted ovum, just know that you're not alone too. I also had one, and I'm continuing to, you know, try and conceive and go down that route. So I don't want it to seem like I haven't healed and I haven't processed and I'm just moving on. I actually do have a life coach that has talked me through the grieving process, and I've done some exercises to get through that grieving process. So I definitely have grieved, cried a lot. You know, I knew so early that I was pregnant, and I am grieving a dream that I had, and now I'm hopeful for that dream still. And I just wish that we could control when it happened, right? Like, it's like the one thing, and this is what I told my therapist or my life coach, I was like, the one thing that women are here to do is reproduce. And like, I know at the time that we conceived, I wasn't necessarily like, yes, I want kids. I was still kind of like, well, maybe I could be okay either way. And then when it happened, I was like, yes, I want this baby. And I was devastated when I lost it, but I want to be the decision whether I want to use my woman, my one thing, my one trait as a woman that we're put here to do. I want to be the one to make that choice of whether I want to use it or not. I don't want the universe to tell me that I can't do it. So I'm pissed off about that, actually. But I have hope, and just trying to do all the things to have a healthy conception opportunity, I guess. You know, clean eating, lots of water, lots of hydration, stuff like that. So anyway, stay tuned for my next video. I'll be updating you guys on our trying to conceive journey. And if you need somebody to talk to, if you feel alone, feel free to write me a comment, shoot me an email. I'm very active on Instagram, so you can follow me there. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day.